the most grudge-holding person that I know, I'm interested in this. Our boy, the bard, Shakespeare himself, because nobody has time for that. Hello everybody, it's Sara, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk to you all about classics that I actually want to read. So I have made a video like this before on my channel, but it was like 3 years ago at this point, so I thought that it was time to do a little part 2. As you may already know, I am not the biggest classic reader. I feel like this is a well-known fact if you've been following me here for a while. I don't tend to really enjoy classics that much, besides a few exceptions. But because I have read a couple more of them in the last couple of years, I feel like now I know better what I like and what I dislike about classics. To give you an idea of the classics that I've already read, I have read all of 6 Jane Austen's novels. I feel like these are by far my favorites. I love all of them. I think they're just amazing. I've also read classics like Animal Farm, 1984. I've read Jane Eyre, Wuthering Heights. What else have I read? I've read Orlando by Virginia Woolf. I've read A Room of One's Own. I have read a bunch of Shakespeare plays like Romeo and Juliet, Much Ado About Nothing. I've also read Little Women and Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. These are all of the ones that like pop into my mind right now. But yeah, I feel like I've read a lot of the most well-known ones, except for a couple that I want to talk about in today's video. So without any further ado, let's dive into this. So the first one that I want to talk about is actually the only one that I already own, and that book is Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. This is a classic that I am actually thinking about reading this year. I'm thinking about buddy reading this with Sarah from Sarah's Perusals this summer. She mentioned in a live show that I was watching on her channel, I think, that she wanted to read this one, and so I DM'd her on Instagram and I was like, hey, do you want to buddy read this one with me? And she said yes, which is so exciting. So yeah, we're thinking about buddy reading this summer. But I originally picked this up because I watched a movie adaptation that there was for this a couple of years ago and really enjoyed it. So I thought that it would be one that I would actually be interested in reading. And I don't remember much about the movie, to be honest. I feel like there was like a shepherd and some sheep, and also maybe like a soldier and a rich man, and basically it's about this woman called Bathsheba, I think. Yeah, Bathsheba, and her many different love stories. So there are like 3 main love interests in this book, and we follow Bathsheba as she has those different relationships with these men. And yeah, I remember really enjoying the movie. I thought it was so dramatic and so juicy. So I'm definitely very interested in picking up this book. I also heard great things about Thomas Hardy in general. I feel like most people really enjoy his style and his writing, so I feel like this could potentially be a new favorite. I remember also really liking the main character, so I think that's a plus for sure. And side note, can we take a moment to appreciate the beauty of this cover? I absolutely adore it. I don't know why I love it so much, but I really do. I love those classics with like paintings on the cover. I think they look so good. So yeah, that's the first one, Far from the Madding Crowd. Then the next one that I want to talk about is one that I have been meaning to read for years, and for whatever reason it just keeps on eluding me, and that book is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I have still never read any book by Sylvia Plath. I have read a couple of excerpts of her works in my classes at university, but I actually never read an entire novel or poetry collection. I know that she's already well known for her poetry, so I really want to read this one. And apparently this is like a kind of sad coming of age story about this woman who works in publishing in New York. And yeah, apparently it's very meditative, very sad, maybe a little bit depressing, so maybe that's why I haven't picked this one up, because the last 2 years have been stressful and I have not been in a mood to read stressful books. But yeah, I am really intrigued by this one. So many people absolutely love it, and obviously Sylvia Plath is such a well-known woman in literature, so I definitely want to give her work a try. Then the next 2 books are definitely very ambitious, and I do not know when I'm going to read them because they are gigantic, and when will I ever be in the mood to read like a giant classic? I do not know. It happens like once in a blue moon. In 2020 I read Les Mis, which was the biggest classic I've ever read in my entire life. It was like over 1,000 pages long, and these two next novels I feel like are almost of the same length. And the first one is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I never thought that these words would come out of my mouth, but honestly, the more that I think about it, I'm very curious about trying out this book. I feel like this is kind of like a sweeping family saga. I don't know too much about this book. All that I know about Tolstoy really is that, first of all, his books are gigantic, and second of all, apparently his writing is absolutely beautiful. And I feel like between this one and Anna Karenina, I would probably enjoy this one just because most people say that it is more action-packed. Well, for a classic, you know, like I don't think that any classics could be described as like heart-racing, action-packed novels, but there is the word war in the title, so you know, there should be at least a little bit of action, a little bit of drama to keep me entertained. So yeah, that's another one. Very surprising to me, to be honest. I never thought that I would say that I wanted to read War and Peace. I do not know when it's going to happen though. Like, it could be years down the line, but that's definitely one that I'm going to keep in mind. Then the next one of these two gigantic beasts that I mentioned is Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. I would actually probably read this one in French. So, Le Comte de Monte Cristo de Alexandre Dumas. I remember actually talking about this one in my first classics I actually want to read video. So it's been 3 years, so that gives you an idea. Like, I'm not in a hurry. Like I said for War and Peace, I feel like this one has a little bit more action. It's like a revenge story. Apparently it's very dramatic. It has all of these different twists and turns in the narrative. And yeah, I'm very curious about it because honestly, it's just this salty individual going after everybody who has ever hurt him. And as the most grudge-holding person that I know, I'm interested in this. So yeah, this one definitely sounds very intriguing to me. It's ginormous. However, in French they actually divided the book in 2 parts because of how big it is, because French is a lengthy language, let me just tell you. So yeah, once again, I don't know when this is going to happen, but this is definitely one that's on my list. You know, somewhere down the line, I might pick this up and enjoy it. Who knows? I hope I will, because otherwise it's going to be so long. To be honest though, if I did not enjoy it, I would probably just DNF it because nobody has time for that. Next, I want to talk about an author that I have a strong love-hate relationship with, and that is our boy, the bard, Shakespeare himself. I think I've read around like 5 or 6 Shakespeare plays so far. I've read Romeo and Juliet, I've read A Midsummer Night's Dream, I've read Much Ado About Nothing, The Tempest, and another one whose title completely escapes me at the moment. But anyway, out of all of these, the one that I enjoyed the most was Much Ado About Nothing. I thought it was so funny and very entertaining, and I was not expecting that at all. So I've dipped my toes into the comedy, but I haven't really read a lot of tragedies. Like for instance, I haven't read Macbeth or Hamlet or Julius Caesar. These are the 3 that I would be interested in. I think maybe not Julius Caesar. I don't know what the plot of that one is. I don't know why I said that I didn't know what the plot of Julius Caesar was about, as if I don't know like European history. Anyway. I would also love to read As You Like It. I feel like that's another one that I would maybe enjoy. Let me know, like, out of all of Shakespeare plays, which ones are your favorites? Because honestly, it has been a rocky journey so far between me and William, so we need to fix this, because otherwise I'm gonna be very sad. Then the next 3 books I actually knew absolutely nothing about, and I stumbled upon them while doing some research for this video. The first one is called Why the Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys, and it is actually a retelling of Jane Eyre from the perspective of a character that, if you've read Jane Eyre, you will know about it, but I won't say anything in case, like, I don't want to spoil anyone, although Jane Eyre has been out for like how many hundreds of years at this point. But anyway, it's about this one character that lives in a peculiar part of the house, let's say it like this, and I had no idea that this book existed, and it sounds so good. It's like a feminist retelling of Jane Eyre. The Penguin Random House website describes it as a feminist and anti-colonial prequel to Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre. That sounds absolutely amazing. I don't know why I had never heard of this before, but I'm very, very intrigued. So that's definitely one that I want to check out as well. Then the next book that I found on that list that really piqued my interest was Vanity Fair by William Makepeace Thackeray. And I looked it up, and this book is like 800 pages long. So once again, don't know when I'm going to read that, but it sounds very interesting. And apparently it's about these flawed characters that you can't help but love and their lives, and I think it's set during the Napoleonic Wars. And yeah, that sounds like very intriguing to me and like something that I would probably enjoy, but it's so long. It's so long. Why are classics all so huge? Anyway, moving on. The next one actually I had heard about before looking at this list, and it is Giovannis Room by James Baldwin. I have heard such great things about this book, and I think that this one would actually be right up my alley. First of all, it's way shorter. And second of all, it's a queer love story, so that's always very, very interesting to me, and I have heard that this one will rip your heart out, but it's also very, very beautiful. So obviously I'm very, very interested about this one. And then finally, the last book that I want to talk about in today's video is Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie. I heard about this book for the first time like many, many years ago, and I've been intrigued about it ever since. And it's basically this Indian classic, I believe, that is centered around this man who is born exactly at midnight, and because of that his fate is tied with the fate of his country. And he also has these like psychic powers that he shares with other people who are born at midnight, and that sounds so incredible. And I also feel that because it has this kind of like fantastical twist to it, I would definitely really enjoy it. So yeah, I'm very, very intrigued about this one. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it when they're talking about classics, so I definitely wanted to shout it out in this video because like I said, it sounds really, really interesting. All right, so there you all go. These are some more classics that I would actually love to read. I know that there are so many out there that I did not mention in this video, so if you have any recommendations for me, please leave them down below in the comments. Also, leave me encouragements to read all of these big chunky boys because I will definitely need it. Maybe I should do kind of like a challenge video of me trying to read like War and Peace in a week or something like that. Maybe that could be fun. Let me know if you would be interested to see that, to see me suffer a little bit. You know, that's always fun. But I hope that you really enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!